Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. We're a Green Bay Packers fan podcast that brings you topical and relevant Packers news along with our most humble, subjective opinions. This is episode 291. We're recording this on a Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. The Packers beat the Cardinals in Week 6 at home. We'll touch on that briefly before previewing the Texans game this Sunday. All that and in between on this episode. Remind you that this is a video episode. You can go find us on YouTube. Search Packer Universe and you'll find us. I'm your host, Tay. And in studio for the first time with video is our one and only
Tay, what up? Ren back in this empty studio. It is echoey.
Yes.
I'm here with you. How could a Wednesday not be better? What up, Tay? How we doing?
Good. I'm doing good. For all of our audience out there and maybe new people that are watching us for the first time, this is I'm still getting the studio in order from kind of like a rework I had to do. This is the first time with 2 video webcams. So one's on me, one's on you, Ren, and you're in the studio. Yeah, it's a little echoey in here, but once they start packing in with Packer memorabilia, it should be all right.
Yeah, that 96 Wheaties box is getting more stale some corner of your basement. So I'm a little concerned about it. Don't want the vermin to get into it and find a little snack. Want to keep that thing in pristine condition. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, as you see the background here, if you're watching on YouTube, I've got a little preview of what we'll talk about in a minute, because this week against the Texans is winter warning, although you said it earlier, you're like it's going to be
72, 73 at game time. It's going to be beautiful day. There's not going to be a lick of wind. It's just going to be, that whole Native American summer thing where there's an old wives' tale, when that happens, he sits down with his pipe, and until winter comes, it just kind of, enjoy that calm, warm days in the late fall. So it's going to be a beautiful day in Northeast Wisconsin. Not winter at all, but, the kids like that flashy new. I think this is the first legitimate real Packer G helmet ever that is not classic. It is,
right.
It is white, and, they'll be able to sell some merch today. And I love the border. Well done.
Thanks.
Nice work.
Well, we'll get to that more in a little bit here, but Texans are a Southern team, and so are the Arizona Cardinals, who came here last week. You were at the game, so go check out our first takeaway, our video and podcast. We kind of discussed that in length a little bit about that game. I just wanted to bring up quick in kind of reviewing some things that, the team did play a lot better than they have. So congrats to them. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come. But they did have, I wanted to point out a few things. They did have really good pass protection. Love wasn't hit very much.
One of the best pass protection teams in the league through 6 weeks of the season.
So that's a plus. That's how you let Love win these games for you. Yep. And that play action is working. Like the run game's being, is legit now for the Packers. I think people are biting on those play action passes. A
little more under center too, and I watched that directly when I was in Lambeau.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of transition first half to second half. They got a lot more under center, which I was appreciative of. This offense cooked much better in the second half of last season when they could do the under center game. So I was, excited about that. But yeah, that's why when Rashid was on the list last week, you need a guy there because, hey, number one of the best pass protection teams in the league. And Matt LaFleur said there were times, Tay, in that first half and second half, Jordan Love could cook a pizza back there. So,
and the run game is been great in my opinion. I think that's been stellar. Even with Wilson and Brooks, we saw a little bit of Brooks this game. Like, those guys are gonna run their hearts out. And I don't think you need to pound Jacob into the ground when you have these guys that can help with things.
He's got a lot of carries already in the season, and if he stays on his pace, he's going to have a ton. He's going to have, I think he's on pace to have 1,300 yards in the season, Tay. But he's also on pace to have well over 300 carries on the year. It's a heavy workload. He's a young guy. We know that in Las Vegas they did that to him as well, but you want to take a little bit off them. And honestly, what I see from Emmanuel Wilson is a guy kind of coming into his own, finding his place on the team. And spelling him in really great ways, and he did that in the second half. And listen, they were kicking the crap out of that team. When you got into late fourth quarter, that game was over. And yeah, that's why you see little Brooks in there. And I look forward to that being Marshawn Lloyd when they start to get him back into the mix and maybe get him more of that dynamic role. And maybe we see some of that late season. Wow, we got a hammer, that flashy guy. And kind of not to pick on Aaron Jones, but you look at what Josh Jacobs has been able to do with his availability, his ability to, take a lot of pressure off the offensive times, especially when we had Malik Willis for a few weeks, and to know his role and to be a big stalwart of this offense where he needs to be. He just does what he's asked of. And then you see Aaron Jones now back on, the injury report. He's got a hip. He's unavailable. He's probably not going to be available this week. They trade for Cam Akers because they just need to have a guy available. And even I believe their backup running back has a little bit of an issue. This is, again, I love me some Aaron Jones, Tay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But this is why Josh Jacobs is something we all need to appreciate because he's available, he's good, and we're happy to have him.
Absolutely. I mean, this might prove to be the better move by Brian Gutekunst in terms of running back with this team. So it's gonna be interesting, and I just love the running game so far. I think it's paid dividends to our passing game and just keeping defenses off. But speaking of the defenses, I think what is that, like 17 turnovers or takeaways?
They have the best turnover differential in the NFL. I think we talked on the first take. What was it? Only one game they've had less than 3 turnovers, and that was the week prior in LA. So it's always been 3 or more.
Yeah.
Obviously, Professor X was shut out, but he could start a new streak this Sunday at home. A little home cooking, and get him back going with those INTs. But I mean, it's just been. This is a different brand of defense. It's not a Barry style defense. They're built on the takeaway. That as they call it, the peanut punch out. You saw Evan Williams do late in that game.
Yeah.
This is stuff we saw the Bears do, the Packers, 5-10 years ago. They do it all the time. They're always taught punch out, punch out, punch out. This is a physical, aggressive defense. They're not always going to be perfect at times. There are going to be some things that happen and are given up that we don't like, but they're aggressive. They're going to be able to, I think, sustain some of this clip today. I really do, based on the way it's taught and the way they go about it. And one thing we talked about on the first take was, dude, I mean, Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, the Bull, Javon Bullard, and Edgerrin Cooper, they're all going to be together 100% for 4 years, at the very least. And that is a huge foundation. They just flipped in one season with a free agent pick and one hell of a draft by Brian Gutekunst in 2024 here. This sets them up. If they can do some things, team building, and they get a little bit more production where they've been lacking, we know, in the that front seven at times, this thing can really cook, man, because they've got a really, really good young core, and all of Green Bay Packer universe should be hell of excited about this defense and their ability to do some great things together.
Absolutely. And that was my last point I was going to make about the Cardinal game coming out of that. So I don't have to add anything to that. So that was great, Ron. That's perfect. And it's exciting to see this defense. This is what we saw, and kind of knew about Hafley's defense was they were going to pounce, they were going to attack, and they are. But, left some deficiencies other places on the defense. But I don't know. I guess I'm not. Yeah, I'm hopeful that the pass rush can fix itself, but really it's well, whatever. If there's a trade-off that's going to happen, I think I'm fine with what's happening right now.
Yeah,
so.
their ability, they're going to give us some plays at times, but their ability to get those big takeaways and continue to come up on the positive with that turnover differential is going to be a boon all season if they continue on that pace.
So let's get our legs under us here and talk about the kicking game.
I see what you did there.
So
this is the topic of the du jour of the day, Tay.
Yeah,
it's
Wednesday,
all of Northeast Wisconsin,
and this was yesterday. They had brought in some other kickers throughout the season already, weekly, to just try them out and test them out. but not as big a name as yesterday when they brought in Brandon McManus. And he has been a name in the NFL for a long time, and in certain aspects worse than others. But we'll get to that in a second. But this guy was a well-known and veteran kicker that comes in, so now it's like, oh, everyone's paying more attention. By the end of the day, they've released Narveson, and they sign Brandon McManus. But that's not without controversy because. Brandon's got a little bit of I don't know, issues surrounding himself, and I guess I guess I'll try to be succinct and short. When he was playing for the Jaguars, he came back from London, and
it's either to or from. I'm not sure I ever heard it one way or the other.
But two flight attendants had accused him of sexual harassment, and that sexual harassment at least was stated minimally as maybe some like grinding or rubbing. There might be more than that we know. We have no idea. And there was, obviously the allegations and stuff like that. The NFL went through their process. They came up with he didn't do anything. Well, he maybe did something wrong, but they weren't going to fine him or suspend him.
There's Jaguars not conclusive evidence that they felt was enough to warrant.
The Jaguars end up just letting him go. They didn't want to deal with it.
I believe actually, just to tell you, I believe in the offseason he was signed by the Washington Commanders.
That's right. Okay.
You got a 1 year, $4 million deal, if I do recall correctly.
They're the ones that waived him.
Correct. And then the allegations popped up after that, and then they outright released him.
There was a lot of stuff through that, and he's been out of the NFL since, but obviously still a free agent. According today, I listened to some of the comments by Brian Gutekunst, and he said that yes, in conjunction really and lying more heavily on what the NFL did in investigating Brandon, that they didn't, whatever they found, the Packers kind of said, okay, you're not suspending him. You didn't find anything to suspend him, so then we're good, I guess is basically what they're saying. Like, we trust in that process. So to our knowledge, like, this isn't over, right? And this, it's not like he's innocent. He's somewhere in between. And the Packers are taking a risk here, saying we need a kicker. The NFL's vetted him. Basically, he's okay. But this is strange to me because obviously the Packers have always conservatively been, or been conservative with these issues, and now you get this kind of like, is the kicking game so bad that they're willing to risk this and just go with this guy that, I don't know, like, it's fine for them. And Brian deflected it, I guess, as best as he could, explained it as best as he could today to reporters, but I don't know, like, it still feels a little weird. Like, I'm not but what do you do as a fan? You don't have any control over this. So what do you do? And I guess it hasn't been defined what has happened or what is going to happen. So you're stuck in the middle. As fans, we're stuck in the middle. So, do we get a good kicker out of it? We'll see this Sunday because he's going to play. But
he is going to play.
On the other hand, it's like it feels a little dirty still.
Yeah, it's a very uncommon thing, per what you said. This is not a Packer person.
Right.
Packer people. And, even for us, we've gotten used to that. I mean, the Narv Dog, I love myself, like, the personality and, like, the young exuberance and just, like, the good, happy, like, kid, like, trying to break his way into the NFL.
Yeah.
Narv Dog, that's my guy. Like the kid a lot.
I know.
A lot.
Me too.
Brandon McManus, there was initial civil suit, per what I know, that was brought against him. The two women initially were unnamed. As a result, the case did not move forward. Now they have named themselves, and there's still a civil case pending. Apparently, the NFL looked into said case, interviewed multiple people, I assume a lot of team players and team coaches, assistants, any folks on that plane, and felt there's not enough to the point where we're going to suspend this guy. but there is still an ongoing investigation and civil suit. Tay.
Yeah.
So the man has not been found guilty or not guilty, but it begs the question on the guy's character, right? I did hear him interview today. He said, I think in his way, the best things he could say, but I did hear him talking about his kids. So it made me wonder, is this a married man? So regardless of, any facts, some indiscretions are happening. And I don't like baggage with Packer players and bringing baggage into a team that has a lot to move forward with. However, we're talking about one of, when you look at it from the objective player piece, as Brian does, and Brian popped out of his, the groundhog only sees a shadow once or twice a year, and I think he only has to address the media once or twice during the season, and he does it to address the signing of a kicker.
Sure.
Not even quite mid-season, which is interesting.
It wasn't even at the podium. It was like on the side alley of the Hudson Center.
Yeah, he makes a point still to address the media about said thing, and
Yeah.
said he, essentially paraphrasing, got enough from the NFL to feel like, a suspension is not oncoming, nor is there enough that they're willing at this point, knowing this. It sounded to me like, without him saying it, they're willing to take a little bit of a gamble here, kind of outside their normal parameters, to sign a guy who, there's some warts here, it seems, but he's one of the most accurate kickers over the last decade when it comes to extra points. We're talking 97% accurate. Wendell Ferreira and I had a little exchange on that on the Xbox yesterday. And I wasn't saying, hey, I'm honking for some Anders Carlson reunion, but it was just I don't like the baggage of this guy. And Wendell's right. I mean, this is he can make the extra points. That's huge because 1 point matters. And then we talk about his 40 to 49, much more accurate. We're talking Braden Arvison missed 40 to 49s in the first 5 weeks of the season, Tay. So it's like, I get it. And these games are lost by a razor's edge at times. I mean, we can point our fingers right at the 2 losses on the season.
Yep.
He makes his field goals in said contests. They're 6-0, and I think we're feeling like we're kings of the North, and the Vikings are gonna still fall down from their perch.
Yep.
So it's a tough place to be. I'm not. Again, I wish it worked out for the Narv dog. I hate bringing in a. He almost seems like a hired gun. That's what he is to me.
He's a mercenary.
He is. He's kind of the mercenary. He's a questionable character. I can't say I'm Team McManus, but I understand he's got a big leg. He can kick off. He can hit 50-yarders.
Well, remember he was a kicker out in Denver for a long time.
He had the light air. I understand that.
I
understand that, but
No,
again, just with the outstanding things, you just makes you a little feel like the baggage. It just makes you feel a little dirty.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I wanted. This is what I wanted. I wanted them to go sign a veteran kicker.
Correct.
And I wanted them to acknowledge the struggles that Narv was having and move on. And they did just that. It's just like, I don't know if I wanted this. It's like.
That's what I heard about McManus. I mean, his overall field goal percentage over the course of his career is like 81%. But again, when you look at the extra points, are not a gimme anymore. I mean, that even in itself.
Right.
I mean, I think the Cardinals missed one at the game I was at. It's not a given. So I mean, it's huge, Tay. It really is. And kicking game in the NFL is really, really important. You wouldn't think this is a passing league, Tay, but it still comes down to the leg of a kicker at times, which is such a goofy thing with this, 100-plus-year-old game that, this position matters so much, but it still does. It really does.
Yeah, I hope this works out, but we're in uncharted territory and we're in the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen in civil court with him, or if he'll eventually be charged criminally, or what he'll do on the team now, if he's going to kick well, if he'll be suspended. Like, these are things still, I think, up in the air. They say no, but, I don't know. I just think it's all unknown.
I think if the NFL said we didn't have enough, I think they're going to let his civil thing play out, and they're just going to turn a blind eye because you know what works, Tay? Money.
Yeah.
And why do the Packers bring him in? Because objectively it makes their team better, not because they care about the off-field stuff. If they felt enough, like it's enough that we're good, we need to fix this position.
Yeah.
And it's uncharacteristic of this football team, especially from a front office standpoint. That's just not what they do.
Well, let's move on to something a little more fun, Ren. Yesterday was Tuesday, so you know what that means. It's Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. But even before that, in the AM, we all woke up to the fact that the Jets traded for our boy Davante Adams, number 17. Obviously, going back a ways, he went out to Las Vegas. We traded him to Las Vegas, and then he played with his boy Derek Carr. He wanted to be by his family. We all respected his decision. We knew it probably wasn't going to work out. We were fine with that. We loved the guy as a player.
Yep.
He goes out there. For the whole time he's out there, he's like, no, this is where I want to be. No regrets. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm not. And then just like that, he's gone and traded back to his boy Aaron Rodgers out in Jets land. And you can't write this stuff. I didn't think this was going to happen this way. So this surprised me, I guess, to an end, because there are a lot of teams that needed a wide receiver that were still vying. They have a good chance of going to the playoffs and aka the Super Bowl. But to have this happen, I mean, I got a bunch of mixed feelings about it. But I think this is the way I see it. Either you're thinking this is the real world Jets style, or this is like, wow, they're going to strike gold here. This is going to work for them. They're going to straighten things out. Aaron's going to pass to Wilson and Davante, and this offense is going to be, set their trajectory, and they're going to go to the playoffs. This is going to turn this team around, and it's going to be like magic. So it's like those are the two end of the spectrum for me, and I lean more towards this is the real world MTV edition of for the Jets here, and it's like Aaron goes to the Jets last year, brings a bunch of his people around, his coach, his players. He goes down with the injury, so you don't even see him last year. Then he comes back. He's battled through injury. He's coming back. He's got his entourage still, And then 2 and 3 to start the season, they fire the coach, who knows if he wanted him around or not. And then the offensive coordinator, you'd think, would get the play calling, Nathaniel Hackett. He doesn't get it. It's some other guy.
Demoted.
He's demoted. So you're like, what is this?
He's just a figurehead.
It's like,
he's just a figurehead to soothe somebody's ego.
So this is just, and then you get Davante traded to them, just the week after this firing happens. They play a good outing against the Bills on Monday night. They played a good game. They only lost by 3 or whatever, wasn't it? And you look at this and you're like, to me, it's just like, I'm glad we don't have anything to do with this. This is drama to its max, and good luck to him. Good luck if it works out. But and it's fun, I guess, to watch Aaron and Davante again. I just never thought it was going to happen, and I mean, I'll be honest, I probably will be tuning in to see it.
Oh, it's Sunday Night Football this week, Tay.
So I've got to do it.
How could you not be tuned into this thing? I'll be out in the middle of nowhere, and I'll be eating that up late at night, just chilling. It'll be great. I look forward to it. But the reality is, this is the Jets are, listen, they're Woody Johnson's Aaron Rodgers experiment at this point. Woody Johnson is letting Aaron Rodgers, run the whole thing behind the scenes, have way too much power. And honestly, I've watched a lot of Aaron Rodgers football this year, just out of basic curiosity to see him coming back off the injury. What is he going to look like? Now he's closing on 41 years old come December. We're talking, 6 weeks away. I see a guy who's really slowed down. That offensive line, Tay, is still not very good in New York. He's taken some massive hits.
Davante will fix that.
He locks onto guys. A la Alan Lazard. I mean, that was Aaron Rodgers hits his 4th Hail Mary
for touchdown
ever.
Yeah.
not ever admit but again, like does another one, like you're like, that's incredible. It is. It's incredible. And the broadcasters even talking about it before it happens. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen this happen before. Like,
They play
will
it
they get it
all
up
three.
there? They're playing it up, and it happens, and they're like, shit, we just said it was going to happen. It happened. Like, it's crazy. It brings a lot of drama. It's interesting to me. I ultimately don't think the Jets are a very good football team. Again, I don't think the offensive line is very good. Honestly, I don't think Breece Hall's that great. I would run the Wisconsin kid, Braylon Allen, all the time. He seems much more productive. But now that he's got Davante there, is he just going to do what he did to us? And that's that final play, like, or the final couple plays. He's just going to lock onto a guy. And once that's done, it's done. I mean, he's going to be going, like, Garrett Wilson's got to be like, Garrett Wilson had like 23 targets 2 weeks ago. What is he going to have next week with Davante? 4? It's going to, that ball is going back shoulder Davante constantly, run out, stop route, Davante. And then Allen Lazard is going to get a few. That's it. But this didn't work, Tay. 4 years ago to the Packers to the ultimate promised land when they were still together and we tried to get over the hump, got to the NFC Championship game against the Bucs.
Yeah.
It didn't work then. Why now?
This is the
4
band.
years later,
We're getting the band back together.
is this suddenly going to happen when they're all 4 years older, Tay? It's just not. It's just not. I mean, listen, Aaron's got a little left in the tank. I've seen a lot of slowdown. He's taken some big hits, Tay. And there are a few times I watched him, even this past Monday night. I'm like, damn, like, ooh, how's he getting up? And he looks a little shell shocked at times.
He got
like,
sacked 2 plays in a row,
like
last
ooh,
night.
And then he also ultimately throws that weird pick, blames it on Mike Williams in the post game presser, but he's on the bench right after he throws that weird pick that almost comes off like the helmet up into the other guy's hands, and the game's over, and he's like memed on it. It's like an instant Aaron Rodgers meme, looking just like I said, shell shocked in the sideline. And then he blames that on everybody else. He doesn't, listen. He doesn't take enough of his own onus on it. But I am very appreciative for what Aaron Rodgers did and all the joy he brought me as a Green Bay Packer fan. But some of how this has morphed into this sideshow circus in New York, I'm just glad it's not mine anymore. And I got sick and tired of it because there got to be a point, Tay, the last year or so he was here, and you knew I was an Aaron Rodgers honk. Like, I was afraid, right? When he got drafted, I was upset. I was really upset for 2 years. But there became a time where I'm like, maybe Jordan could be good, and then what? Because then all this extra stuff started. It just became too much. It was just so much. And I'm glad it's not mine anymore. I really am. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not mine week to week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is and it looked kind of, it's a duck, right? It looked kind of like it's quacking like a drama-filled potential blow up here, because maybe Davante and Aaron are happy, but what about everyone else? Even Allen Lazard's probably like, oh God, Davante's back again. Like,
I'm sure he's stoked on it.
I know, but you know what I mean? Like sometimes like
Garrett Wilson might be like,
personalities and then professional football players, like that stuff mixes, and sometimes it doesn't mix well when you are feeling bent about stuff.
Aaron's always had this whole thing like, you got to work with me and get on my page. If you're not running these routes exactly the way I want them, you're not doing it right. And that was always, that was one of the knocks. Like when he didn't want to come in and work with these young guys, and like, it takes time to build rapport. It does.
The other thing that struck me was that that maybe Woody. I feel like Aaron has a lot of control over there. And I think that's.
I think Aaron has Woody's ear,
but
big time.
But when the interim coach assigned not Nathaniel Hackett to the play calling, that was like, whoa, is this a balance here? Like,
what's him saying? I'm the guy now. Guess what I get to do?
Yeah.
This is my time to shine.
Power play, right?
Yeah, it's my time to shine. So I'm gonna nope.
So why isn't Woody in the head coach now, the interim head coach ear going, why don't we, let Nathaniel and Aaron just be the offensive coordinators? Like, why didn't that happen? So,
well, I think that was the choice he made. Now this guy's going to do that, and he's not going to be the coach at the end of the year. This guy knows he's
playing for another job.
Yeah, he's just
coaching
out there,
for another job.
He's just out there putting his resume out, and he's going to put a little bit of hard foot down because hey, if you're just going to look like a walkover, how is it going to sell anywhere else
Yeah.
in the future of your NFL career? It's not.
And
So
if this
good
one-
on him for not just being like, yeah, whatever. Like
Let Aaron
Woody
do
gave
it.
me the shot, but I'm still going to call my shots, and he might tell me behind the scenes, whatever. Yeah, you can fire me, whatever. That's fine, but
Yeah.
I'm going to do it my way while I'm here.
The offensive play caller seemed to do a good job. If that's what was truly happening, his plays were being run.
Well, I mean, that's
So-
hard to say because we know it was always a happy marriage between Matt and Aaron. They were able to marry, their ideas and thoughts together, and that was great. They did make it work, but Aaron's going to play and he's going to have checkdowns and do what he feels is best at times as well.
All right, Ron, let's move on here. We got
Yeah, this is not
two more topics.
the New York Packers. I hear you.
We're going to get to Houston in a minute, but the reason why the background has changed and everyone's in a hoop this year, hoopla this week, is that this is their unveiling of the winter warning uniform, I guess you want to call it. It's got the helmet to the shoes, all white. There's some stripes and stuff. But this is the first time that the helmet is actually white with the G on it. And I'm going to bring up some pictures here for you, Ren. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, you can check it out.
You make me put on some spectacles so I can see this.
Yeah, put your glasses on, old man. Here. So I want to get your take of this. Here's the helmet. It's just got the G in it, white face mask and everything. You got some of the team members here. This is all from Packers.com, mind you, and it's got like the stripes, the pinstripes or whatever those called, race stripes or I don't know what you call the banding on the shoulder, and then it's also down the pants. Here's Gary, loving it up. And then if you get really close to the helmet, Ren, it's like this like speckled stuff. So it's like black speckled. It's not like the gold helmet where you have all these little fine particles glistening.
Mm-hmm.
It's more. This is more like a paintbrush splatter. It's like little dots. And then the one that came out today was this one here with Jordan. And you can see the stripes down the pant leg there, but it's all white. And I kind of was watching last week's game against the Cardinals. I'm thinking this is kind of what it looks like, all white. They had obviously the Cardinal logo and some of the red and stuff, but this is like all white, and I don't mind it. I'm not in love with it, but I'm somewhere. I'm gonna give this like 7 out of 10. Like I like this. This is great. If there's an ability for the Packers to change their uniform and especially change the color of their helmet, and they're going to follow through with it, I'm kind of on board to try it because this was kind of a rare thing for the Packers to even switch the helmet color. They've never done that ever. So I like it. I'm not like in love with it, but I'm happy for the change. I'm happy for the attempt, I guess, at this. And if, I don't know how long they'll do this, for a few years maybe. They might bring this back, I don't know, until it kind of fades out like the last one did. But anyway, I like it. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's a slick look, Ted. I'd say 7, 8 out of 10. I mean, it's a good one-off, maybe a second time. I'm not a huge fan. The Packers are such a classic uniform, classic look. I know a lot of people out there find the green and gold kind of ugly. It's kind of weird colors put together, green and yellow. But that's what makes the Packer look so great. I think it's not a common 2-color put together piece. That said, I mean, who knows? We're going to see the summer serenade when it's green helmets and all green.
Ooh, yeah.
Green jerseys and green pants. I bet you that one's coming next. And yeah, you can take that from me, Packers. You can take summer serenade. Just play that one first week of the season.
Call it the summer wind.
Yeah, the summer wind. She came blowing in, from across the sea. But anyway, it's neat. It's a one-off, but it's hard to mess with the classic because the Packers are one of those classic teams in the NFL to do these things. But it does provide some extra merch options, Tay, which, hey, teams like to sell some crap.
And I was trying to get up there and do this, but I wasn't able to. Let me give you this, though. Here, I did a little research on this by myself here. And this is a graphic from, Packers social media. And this is a picture of kind of like where they've been with the uniforms, like through history, and
I don't see a Powerball in there. Oh, there it is. I see it.
they're pulling out. They're saying, I think it's let me actually bring this up from Packers site. They said white uniforms and helmets have been worn several times throughout Packers history. The team experimented with white as an alternate uniform color for the first time in 1938. Excuse me. And also at various times in the 40s and 50s before it was eventually introduced as the standard away jersey color in 1960. So if you look at this, there's white uniforms here at 38, 46, 52, 58, 59. But they're going for the 58 version. And I was looking this up, and Aaron, there's a picture here that is in the Packers Hall of Fame. There's a room with all these figurines with the different uniforms on it. It goes around. And if you look here in the lower right, there's 1958, and there's the white helmet. So they did wear white helmet at least once, and that was during the 58 season. Before they, picked it as their, at least the white jersey as their away. But that was there. And I searched for pictures.
I mean, I like the research you did here, Tay, but
So-
man, you went in hard on the winter warning.
So the winter warning white helmet did exist. It didn't have the G, of course, but they've done it before. So this is a true callback, just like the green. Well, I don't know what kind of green it was a couple years ago for that. The latest one with the G and the B. But that was from. I can bring it up here. That one was from the 50s, 1950. And we got that. And then now we're getting 58 with the white. So I don't know. I kind of like that it is based in history. I think they're looking at these things. Obviously, it's all a modern twist and all. But when you look at what the Packers have had in the past, then you will see that they're actually, giving a nod and paying homage to some of this stuff that has once been a part of the team. So I love it. But yeah, Ren, that's the winter warning. That's the whole reason for this week coming up. I didn't get a chance to go up to the Packers Pro Shop and get some gear. I wanted to do that, and I have it on the video here. And I just, there wasn't too much that I liked out of the collection, the winter warning collection. But a few things. And
take pride in your podcast banner. I mean,
that's true.
There you go.
So that's black, right? It's white and black. It's not like dark green. I have not seen these things up close, so I can't tell. Maybe someone out in Packer Universe can tell me. Is that dark green or is that black on the
I'm
G?
saying it's very dark green. Back when I was a kid, I always thought the Bears were black, not blue, because that
navy
is so dark.
Yeah.
But I'm going that's dark green, Tay.
Mm-hmm.
Dark green. Yep.
All right, Ren. Let's move on.
Yeah, you spent too much time. I would say I did send you a little thumbnail of Ron Wolf's. I believe it was a 1994 redesign of the Green Bay Packers uniform, which I would actually like to see a version of that done as a one-off. And that is true gold on the helmet, not yellow. Gold pants, green jerseys.
No one likes the real gold.
So I think green and gold. I would like to see it. How the Rams went to gold for a while, blue and gold. No, I'd like to see it. I'd like to. It'd kind of be more in that green and gold, like Notre Dame style. I'd like to see it as a one-off. That was Ron's thing. He was going to literally change the Packer look to a true green and gold, and it did not happen.
They don't have any of that here in history.
No, Ron was going to make his own history and pave his way, which he did with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, but it's probably the only thing that Ron won't ever get, to fruition. Is his dream of the real gold. That's not going to happen. They'll never
on
go
and
back.
on. Let's get on to those Houston Texans.
All right. Let's get on to the Houston Texans. They are 5-1, and the Packers are 4-2. Houston is a good team.
Very good team, too.
They were good last year. They kind of came out. CJ Stroud is really good. He's still good from last year as he was. He's very accurate with his passes, just like Jordan Love. So a lot of people were like comparing them or like trying to compare them, which I don't think is really fair. They're kind of two different people to me, but he is accurate with his passes.
Extremely accurate.
He's got good wide receivers. He's obviously going to miss Nico Collins because he's on IR, but they have Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell and tight ends, and they have good running backs, Mixon, and a couple others that can catch and run. Their O-line is a little bit weak in pass pro, but that's probably, hopefully, to our advantage. Hopefully our edge rushers can get to him.
They were doing a little more of that mush rush thing again. They had a running quarterback last week, so it wasn't. They were going to always have guys kind of like push forward, not push too much. So we'll give them a one last excuse why the Van Nesses and the Garys and the Kenny Clarks of the world and the Preston Smiths are not getting home enough, because they did have a potential mobile quarterback. And listen, CJ can move too, but not quite to the degree that the Jalen Hurts, Richardsons, and obviously Kyler last week could. So the excuse is going to start running short. They're going to need to get the quarterback. That being said, Tay, keep telling me a little bit about what you know about the Houston Texans.
No, like on defense, the Texans can get to the quarterback, and they've done that. And they can stop the run too. So I don't know. I guess I would look to the Packers to have the offensive line as a real crucial part of this, to be able to still do the run game the way the Packers are, and to protect Aaron Love. Wow, did I just do that?
You did it. That's a Freudian slip. If there ever was one.
Jordan Love. I think that's going to be one of the biggest keys to success for the Packers. If Love has the time to pass like he did last week against the Cardinals, he's going to carve up this Texans secondary. So that's going to be huge. And the Packers have all their weapons. I mean, Wicks is going to be back. I hope. I think he was injured. He left the game against the Cardinals, but I think he's going to be back. Not that you kind of trust him lately, but whatever. We have enough weapons with our top 3 wide receivers, and our tight ends really kicking in high gear. But Ren, this is going to be a showdown, I think, in Lambeau. If both teams play to their potential, this could be a huge, tough battle.
Yeah, this is one that should be in primetime, Tay. It is not. It is high noon, which is, I think, good for most people in this area who want to take in a game right away. And listen, this is the noon tilt that everybody wants to see. You're talking about a 5-1 Houston Texans team against a 4-2 Packers team that could easily be 5-1 or 6-0. These are two very good, young, talented football teams. You kind of look across, the skill positions and the big time players on each side of the ball. It's hard to say. The Packers. Do you know the line right now, Tay?
Yeah, I actually saw it.
Why
Packers have
did you do this to me?
2.5.
It's moved back to 3 as of this afternoon, but I'm sure there's still some books probably in Vegas at 2.5. But so they're barely getting the home cooking 3. Mm-hmm. Listen, the Packers are going to have to play and they finally did last week against the Cardinals. They played their most complete game, but the Cardinals, again, they didn't want any business being there. I told you about that. I was sitting in the stadium. It was cold. It was wet. This is a team coming from Arizona in the heat. It's still in the 90s there every day, and it's raining. It's sloppy. Guys are slipping, and it was a driving rain for the first hour of the game, and the Packers got up, and they wanted no part of that. No, it's going to be a easy breezy, not get too hot. If this is down in Houston and, they got a roof, but it was out in the open, that's almost too hot to play, right, this time of year. Here it's perfect. 72, no wind, even playing field. This is not going to be a condition like last week where a team coming from the South is like, I'm not ready for this cooler weather yet. I don't know what to think of this. The Packers already acclimated to that. But this Houston team, Tay, they don't have Nico Collins, but they do have Tank Dell. They do have Dalton Schultz. They do have Stephon Diggs. They're trying to work him in now more, make him more part of the focal point now that Nico's still out. Nico will probably be back in a week or two once he's hit his full 4 weeks. The big thing when they have struggled in games, the running game has not been very good. First 6 games, Mixon missed 3 of those. He just came back last week. Every week he's been in, he's had over 100 yards rushing, so he's really been able to be that piece, kind of similar to Green Bay. When you're able to get Jacobs cooking a little bit, where you know that inevitably the final game stats can say he had over 100 yards rushing, he's taking pressure off the passing game, right? Because he's keeping that offense balanced. This is what really helps out the Texans. He was a really good signing by them in the offseason. It makes their offense go. So when he's been in the 3 games he's been in, their offense has been much more productive. Things have worked much better. Stroud has not been as good as he was throughout the course of the season last year as a rookie, but he's been very good. So he can, when he is on Tay, this guy can spin it kind of almost a la Aaron Rodgers. He can put it in a tight window and make it look real pretty. We know Jordan kind of plays a little bit off schedule at times, and he'll make some amazing throws, but he's got a little bit more of that off schedule Favre stuff in him, but at the same time can also throw that dot. He's got more of that Pat Mahomes kind of in space kind of, wow, he just did that. Like I told you about that play, moving him motioning Romeo from left to right and then telling him blitz is coming and hit the corner. Jordan's exciting in that way. CJ in the other way. The defense, Will Anderson Jr., he was, the first or second pick in the draft a few years back. He had 3 sacks last week. He has always been everything as advertised as one of the best young edge rushers in the NFL. He's going to come bring that pressure. They can move him anywhere on that line. They brought in Danielle Hunter to replace the guy they lost to the Vikings and Jonathan Greenard. Jalen Petrie is one of their young players. He's a 2nd or 3rd year player who is a safety. They kind of use him kind of like Bullard now, where they're bringing him down inside in that slot position. And they've got an older safety. I think Jimmy Ward. He's a little bit longer in the tooth, but they have really good, Stingley? I think Stingley is one of their main cornerbacks, press corner, good press man corner. So they have some really good players up and down the defense as well. This is a very solid football team that can do a lot of really good things, and you're going to have to watch all those guys. I mean, they have good guys up front. They have some good young safety play, good cornerback play, good skill positions in offense. I don't know if I mentioned Dalton Schultz, solid tight end. We looked at what Trey McBride did for a minute in that game in the 3rd quarter against the Packers. It's going to take all hands on deck again.
Yep.
And this is when I expect to go down to the wire, be within really a score between both teams throughout the course of this thing. And this is where the Packers have been so good, so, on the mark with, being able to take the ball away at key moments to kind of swing the momentum. I think that's what this game is going to need to come out with a inevitable W. I mean, You're talking again about a 5-1 football team. You mentioned it. So this is I think, I know the Vikings were a tough test, but nobody really still quite knew that point. Are the Vikings as good as they're advertised?
Yeah.
And they were until they weren't in the second half. This is, I think, coming into a game, their toughest test so far this season. This is a damn good football team. Maybe Super Bowl preview matchup. Maybe?
I hope so.
But it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're right. This is going to be all hands on deck. I truly believe that this is the culmination game for them. They need to learn what they have learned in the last 6 games to dial up and to just scrounge up every ounce of execution and motivation and discipline that they can figure out amongst themselves to play a really, really good game without mistakes. Because in a game like this, the first mistake really sets you back, and obviously that's said all the time, but that's ultimately true here. This is going to be a tough matchup, and I look to the Packers to continue their trajectory here of the last couple of games where they've looked really good. They're capable. We know they have the potential to be that team like that we saw last weekend. And if they're that team that last weekend and playing like last weekend, then they can do good. They can beat this Texans team. Maybe it takes the Texans coming up to Green Bay and Lambeau, and I think maybe that is the advantage for us here. Is it's a home game, and if we were going down there,
There
it might
is some
be
advantage
different.
there.
So
100%.
I look to this as a tough matchup. It should be fun. Should be a shootout, but I'm looking for the Packers to beat them 34-33, winning by a McManus field goal.
Oh, shoot, Tay. I'm going to go 35-30 Packers. D'Amico Ryans and Matt LaFleur know each other really well. Obviously, we know D'Amico Ryans was with the Niners there for many years. Also, their offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, I believe was on the same staff as a defensive guy with LaFleur when LaFleur was there, McVay was there.
Yep.
LaFleur, McVay, Shanahan was there. Bobby Slowick is a Green Bay, Wisconsin native.
Yep.
Green Bay Southwest. Didn't know that. Kind of neat anecdote there. They run also a similar style scheme as the Green Bay Packers. So they're going to match wits, and it's going to be really interesting to see who gets the better of one another. And hey, listen, the quarterbacks are good, but which quarterback has a better day ultimately is probably going to end up with a W.
Right on. It's at home. Is this a gold package game?
No, it's green. It's green. Yep.
You're not headed to it.
I am not. I'm not going to be in town, Tay.
That's too bad. You could wear.
Otherwise, I would been all about that warning.
Yeah.
So, I'd
get
get out my full white gear like I'm going to a Diddy party, a Diddy white party. Speaking of things that are coming with baggage and talking about McManus today, so I thought I'd stay on the same theme.
Well, we hope everyone in Lambeau on Sunday has a great time in their winter warning gear. They want you to go to the pro shop. They want you to buy, and then they want you to wear. So I guess this is a warning for the winter warning to go
this
get
is a warning
stuff.
to spend some money on the Green Bay Packers Day. That is a fact.
Let's get out of here. We're being way too optimistic about this Packers team, maybe, but hopefully not. We appreciate everyone watching, listening, following, subscribing, all that jazz. We appreciate it very much. So we'll get out of here, and we'll talk to you guys very, very soon.
Yeah, Tay, until episode 292, Tay, on the pup list.